Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time. I'm Chase Renninger, agroecologist.
My name is Robbie Cruz. I'm a permaculturist, and we're here to talk to you about agriculture. We're going to be talking about gardening and how they kind of compare and contrast in this modern day world that we live in right now.
So we're going to be looking at, we're going to be talking about diversity at different scales. So what does that look like? We're going to be looking at gardening, we're going to be looking at small scale forest gardening, all the way into broad acre agriculture, and starting to hint at changing our current agricultural paradigm and moving into a highly diverse system of resource producers from resource consumers in our corn, wheat, and soy-based monocropping systems.
All right. So what Chase is trying to say is, right now uh, our current farming systems, as a lot of people are starting to understand, is these gigantic fields of corn, soy, and wheat, and these huge fields are pretty much all done with machinery, right? And these machines are going to be out there, and they're going to be harvesting up all this wheat, and they're going to be, pretty much farming these huge acreages of annuals that is not sustainable and is not really the best way to utilize the land. And right now, these practices are what's really choking our agricultural system, because they are restraining nature from becoming an ecosystem, and they're kind of just milking out her little bit of minerals out of her, instead of really caring for the land and feeding the soil and producing long-term systems.
That's exactly right. What we're trying to do is create long-term systems that have a long-term impact on the planet. Systems that are going to feed us for generations. Systems that will repay our grandchildren. We call these systems intergenerational agro-ecosystems. And it's time to create these. Is now. Time is create
Time
them.
is now
The time
to
is now.
to create these systems. So what the difference is like in a garden setting, a garden is made by human hands, and it's going to be made as big or as small as the hands of the gardeners can make.
How much time they have, their
And what their
constraints in their
needs
life,
are,
like
to be able to sustain the person, and it's the person's needs.
you can still be a farmer at the small scale, even if you have a 9 to 5 job. You can do it. You can get that fresh food right from your backyard. Forget about local. We're talking about getting onto the table in 15 seconds.
Right now, the current paradigm is moving towards the organic and local and all that, but it's still not hitting the mark. The mark is that the current agricultural systems are based on annuals. Annuals require tillage of the land, and as long as you're tilling the land, you're destroying the land. Whenever you destroy the soil, you're destroying the ecosystem inside the soil, and it is being washed away into the oceans and the rivers. The soil is itself. So until we move into a perennial system of food, we're going to be losing topsoil. Now, even eating
That's
local,
not to say, though, that
but even eating local right now is still moving food around with petroleum and not being like, it's still going to completely destroy the earth. So what has to happen is we got to become the farmers. We got to become the food producers. Right now, there's less than 1% of the population is farming. That's not acceptable.
less than 1% of the population is farming, and less than 2% of those people are organic farmers. And those organic farmers are organic farmers that are using traditional
Methods.
tillage-based annual cropping techniques.
So we have a long way to go right now. Right now, we're pretty much realizing the problem.
We're just starting to realize the problem here. So it's interesting. Anyway, so let's talk about gardening for a second. It's something I love. I've been gardening for the past 10 years of my life, and I really like it. It's a soothing, meditative activity, but I also enjoy running my machinery and being able to cultivate larger pieces of land, whether that is at a moderate scale, being able to go to a farmer's market and sell your carrots and your beets and your lettuce and all of that. I love all of it, and you know, it's something that I went to really to seek comfort in and to seek health out of, and it's a system that has granted me more than that in return. And it's all because I have personally tried to be invested in caring and increasing diversity in my agro ecosystems that I create. So let's say we're looking at the small scale. You know, you have your options within your backyard, for example, or within a community space. You know, you might live in a tight-knit suburbs or the city where there is a community space, there's a community garden area, there's a park that can be converted into something that's much more useful and productive than
Land
just
is
a field.
everywhere. It's always under your feet. There's no exception why we shouldn't be always working on
Think
this.
about it this way. We have all of these lawns in the United States, and what do? We mow them. We use petroleum to mow our grass. That makes
To get absolutely no
sense.
yield and to put inputs in it is a complete
We're
permaculture
dumping
failure.
dumping nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium-based fertilizers on our grass, on our monocrop of grass.
I know. Let's not even get into it. What Chase is trying to say is pretty much if you're mowing your lawn, you're failing at life. So grow
Don't be so harsh.
food.
He's been a little harsh.
I'm being harsh, but I'm being real. Why would you spend time mowing the lawn when you could be growing your own food while you're going
If
to
you
the
put
grocery
just
store?
as much time into maintaining your garden, you would have
Food.
food.
And you wouldn't have to eat the poisons from the chemical companies. So what we're trying to say is right now we need to learn how to move into perennial agricultural systems. And this is food forestry based. These are aquaculture based systems that are going to have long-term sustainability for yourselves and your family and your future generations. So if there's something you would really like to put yourself and your time into right now,
Creating intergenerational agro ecosystems is where your time and energy should be put.
take your
So
time
it's not to say
and
that
invest it in the earth, please.
it's not to say that you can't be an annual vegetable gardener. We're not saying that at any.
These are ideas we're just trying to convey.
So
you
we
can-
all are always going to eat annual vegetables, you know, and
we just need to move our
it's
staple
great.
crops.
It's just we need to integrate the annual vegetables into more perennialized gardens. So the impact of those cropping systems can be mitigated by perennial ecosystems that are self-mulching, self-maintaining, self-fertilizing, and have a decreased need for irrigation.
Well-
And if we integrate our annual crops into those setups, and for us and for our animals, then the earth is going to be a much happier place than when we decide to annual crop out 40 acres worth of vegetables to sell to Whole Foods and destroy the
And feed
soil
suburbia.
ecosystem.
So let's get the land in our hands. Let's put the seeds back in the ground and learn how to work with her so we could take care of ourselves and our future generations. Because that's what we have to put in our time into right now. The system is failing. Babylon was never meant to succeed. So put the seeds in the ground and teach yourself how to malama the ain and take care of the land. My name is Rob Cruz. Thank
Chase
you.
Renninger, this is part 1. We'll hope to see you guys on part 2. Up next. After we eat some fat.